Hello and welcome once again to the Waters and Stanton video channel, and this is yet another video. Glad you could join me. Yesterday I produced a video about the Alinco DX10 and I've had some feedback from a couple of people that watched the video saying that this radio can actually also cover the CB band. And apparently if you hold the function button and the emergency button in at the same time when you switch it on, you get a choice of band 1 or band 2, and you select the appropriate band, and then I found if you press the function button again and then switch the radio off and back on again, you're into whichever band you choose. So you've got a choice of either 28 to 30 or 26 to 28 megahertz. So you've got a radio that not only covers 10 metres but also covers the CB band. So there's a feature that I didn't know about, and I don't think it's mentioned in the manual, but I'm sure that if you ferret about on the YouTube, you'll find possibly some other things you can do with it as well. So it's obviously quite a versatile radio. And just to prove that it works, here you see that I've done the appropriate button pressing and I'm covering the CB band. If you're looking for something interesting for 2023, then take a look at this Xiegu X6100. We've just got a new supply in. It's multi-mode, multi-band, 160 metres to 6 metres, 5 watts out with the internal battery and 10 watts out with an external supply. A beautiful colour screen. It's a great rig. Check it out now. Anyway, back to the purpose of this video, to discuss something I've noticed, particularly on 10 metre band. It could be applied to some of the other bands, but I think it's particularly relevant to the 10 metre band. Now, we all know that FT8 has become one of the dominant modes in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's proved some very interesting points. And one of the points it's proved is that when we think bands are closed, they're not. And of course, 10 metre band is a good testing ground for it. Many times in the past, I've listened on 10 metres and found there was nothing there at all. But if you go down to the bottom of the band, you'll hear some FT8. Now, the purpose of FT8 was to provide communication under very difficult conditions, particularly weak signal situations. And it's often claimed that FT8 can work stations that you can't actually hear, though stations below the noise level, which is a very interesting proposition, and I think it's been proved quite a few times that in fact that does actually happen. You can actually work stations below the noise level. But the interesting fact is that if I tune down to the bottom of 10 metres, I can hear FT8 signals. Now, grant you some of these are very weak, but I suspect that in almost all cases I could work those stations if I was using CW. So FT8 is not doing something that another mode couldn't do. And in a lot of cases, even when the band is ostensibly closed, there's signals there which are strong enough that if they were SSB, I could also maintain a QSO. So what is actually happening is at the bottom of the 10 metre band, it's 28.07 or 075, around that area. If you tune down there, I'd be very surprised if you couldn't hear some signals. Now, these FT8 signals are audible, they're not below the noise level. So it means to say that other modes could actually provide communication. So where are we going with this, with this fairly obvious statement? Well, let me tell you. I think FT8 works for 2 primary reasons. The first is that it's very simple. Once it's set up, it's very simple. You can have a quick QSO and there's no problem at all. You don't need anything particularly fanciful in terms of equipment or antennas. Very often you can do it with quite simple and low power. And the other attraction is that you know where the stations are. You go on 14.070 or wherever the activity is on the particular band you're interested in. You go on there and that's where the activity is. It's rather like going on the sort of 2 metre or 70 band when repeaters came about, that everybody gathered on the repeater channel that were interested in that sort of communication. They gathered on the repeater channel and just sat there and waited for signals or waited for stations to come up. And the same really is true with FT8. It's very convenient. You know where the stations are going to be. You just sit there and wait for the signals to come up or watch them on the screen. So FT8 is fulfilling something, which means to say that you're not likely to miss anything. If you're on the air, you're not likely to miss the activity. Now, let's contrast that with SSB. You go on to the 10 metre band, and if you've got a modern radio, you may have a panoramic display. If you haven't got a modern radio, you won't. But you'll more than likely tune up and down the band, and you'll see little signals there, and you think, well, I wonder what they are, and it's a bit of noise or whatever. And there's nothing much there at all. You tune up and down the band, and you think, well, the band's closed. That's it, I'll go to a lower band and see what's on. Now, the problem is that unlike FT8, you're wandering about the band looking for signals. Wouldn't it make more sense if, and again, I put this forward as a possibility, you may agree, you may not agree, wouldn't it make sense if we adopted an SSB calling channel on 10 metres? Because then you could switch your rig on and you could leave it on that channel, you could put out a call, or alternatively listen and wait for somebody to come up. And as soon as you made the contact or established the contact, rather like 2 metres, you move off. Now, I know people will say, well, on 2 metres you try that and there's not much SSB activity. Well, that may be true, but unless you try something you don't know, I'm willing to bet that if you had a calling channel and an established calling channel on 10 metres, you would increase the amount of activity on what ostensibly was otherwise a dead band. Because while you're listening up one end of the band, somebody's looking around the band and think, well, I'll put out a CQ. Where shall I put out a CQ? Oh, I don't know, 28.450 seems a good channel, or 28.525. It's all very arbitrary. I think this is one of the problems. Now, let me take you back. Let me take you back to when I was first licensed, or a couple of years after I was first licensed. It was actually in 1962. Yes, I know it's a long way back, isn't it? In 1962, I belonged to the Romford Amateur Radio Club, and 10 metres was very active, and I was operating on the 160 metre band, I think, at the time, and a very kind gentleman, Norman Miller, G3 Mike Victor Victor, G3 MVV, lent me a DX40U, and a Heathkit DX40U. Now, the Heathkit DX40U was an AM transmitter. I'd already got, I think I had an R107 receiver, and I had a converter so that I could actually listen on 10 metre band. And I was quite amazed, all these signals from the States coming through day after day. I erected a 10 metre dipole, wire dipole, no SWR meter, so I must have just guessed that it was okay. And of course the DX40U had valves and it had a Pi network, so I wasn't really too fussed about a bit of VSWR. And there was, generally speaking, a calling channel then on 10 metres. 28.5 was a popular calling channel. And the DX40U was crystal controlled, and I actually got a crystal for the calling channel and another channel as well, I think. And I used to listen on 28,500 and wait for a station to pop up, and then we used to migrate to my other crystal frequency. Now, the beauty of that was that everybody was congregating around 28.500 to establish the initial call, and then migrating somewhere else, probably on another crystal controlled channel, because in 1962 VFOs weren't that stable, and because you were generally speaking multiplying up from, say, I don't know, 3.5 or whatever it was, drift was very prevalent then, and it was far easier to have crystal-controlled channels. So what I'm effectively saying is, what about establishing an SSB calling channel on 10 metres? Now, as far as I know, there isn't one. You may come up and say, well, there is one, but I've done a search on Google, and there's nothing really that suggests there is an internationally established calling channel. But I just wonder, if we had an internationally established calling channel, say of 28,500, whether that would actually promote more activity, and when the band is ostensibly dead because we can't hear anything, it may not be actually dead. It's just because people aren't listening on that particular frequency, that particular time, whilst the other guys at the bottom of the band are having QSOs on FT8 all over Europe, and even further than that, even when the band seems to be dead. So I put that forward as a possibility. Now, I'm sure that many of you will have a lot to say about that, and it's just an idea, but it's something I've noticed over the last few months actually, and not noticed it on other bands as well. It's not peculiar to 10 metres. You can listen to FT8 signals, and quite strong FT8 signals that will easily move the S meter up to 6 or 7, way above sort of your local noise level, and yet other parts of the band are dead. Now, at the end of the day, you may think, well, yeah, okay, I can follow that, but I like FT8 and that's what I'm going to do. Well, that's fair enough. But if you have a favour for SSB or CW, then maybe we should have a calling channel for SSB and maybe a calling channel for CW as well, who knows. Anyway, I put that forward as an idea, nothing more. Thank you for your support on this channel. By the way, don't forget to press the subscribe button, because that just gives an indication of how interesting the channels have proved to be. And I do appreciate all the support I've got over the last couple or 2 or 3 years now. And we've built up subscribers to, well, we're crawling up to 21,000 subscribers, so we must be doing something fairly. I say we, it's all down to me. I'm the guy in front of the camera, and also the guy behind the camera, and also the guy that does the editing. There we are. So if there's anything wrong with the channel, you know who to blame. It's me. Enjoy your ham radio, you take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.